Well, it's a very pleasant good evening from the cozy studio of Intel Sports. And we'd like to say welcome to Sports Talk right here on this Wednesday. Today's the third day in the fourth month of the year 2024. Sports Talk comes your way every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with all of the trending issues you need to know in the world of sports, as well as topics, very, very important topics that we bring up and we bring on, of course, our stakeholders, very, very key people in the sporting sector to discuss those very important topics. Tonight, we're going to have with us two of Liberia's legends when it comes to football. Of course, we're talking about Liberia's most celebrated soccer in James Salim Sadiba. And then we also have another legend in Musa Shana. The two of them were all, of course, part of the famous George Weah 11. So they will be here tonight. Our discussion is going to be around football and its development in Liberia. How has it been? How is it now? How do we intend to continue with it relative to its development? And of course, we also talk about the national team. The senior national team of Liberia will be part of our discussion as well. And then we will also have succinctly our colleague, Edwin Batafoyen. He's coming on tonight to give us a very shortly tips on how the basketball league is going on, who's doing what, which team is dominating. As you all aware, the basketball league has resumed in Liberia after a long break, and I'm told the competition is stiff. So Edwin Batafoyen will give us more highlight about what is going on in the Basketball Association League. I'm here tonight, of course, just before we take our break and come right back before we introduce Edwin Batafoyen. My colleague, in fact, one of the hosts of this program in Christopher Walker, if you may. We need to stop saying now that he is the Jeremiah Cohn of the Sports Writers Association of Liberia, but he is the vice president.
But I think you're just more than the vice president. You are doing a good I love the purple suit. That's be funny. Yeah.
Thank you.
So I think you are just more than the vice president.
I can't be sorry.
If someone here will say, I'm just like the bodyguard to use. See how you are dressed smartly.
I bring my shoulder down.
Yeah, it's always wonderful to be on the platform. And this is where we bring you all of the big guys in the world of sports in Liberia. And you can interact with them. And today promises to be very interesting. The big one for you, Watanga FC, confirmed champions of Liberia Football Association 2023-2024 league season, the Orange sponsor First Division League. They did so this afternoon at the Tusa field, competing a double over Lescar FC because they won the first leg away at home, at the Samarkand Sports Complex practice pitch, where they won 4-0 against Lescar FC. And today, they did it in style against Lescar FC, the Stars, winning the championship from the champions at the home of the champions.
Okay, so we'll be back with that trending news in football that Watanga is now the new champion of Liberian football. But we'll tell you more how many games to go now that they've been declared champions of the league. We'll also tell you what happened between Invincible 11 IE and, of course, Kalon FC in a relegation battle. We'll tell you more. But we're taking a break. My name is Trojan. Of course, like I said, I'm here alongside Chris. And this break, this is Sports Talk right here on Intel Sports. Welcome back to Sports Talk right here on Intel Sports. Very shortly, we'll be bringing on Edwin Batafoyen to tell us about basketball, a bit about it, an update, if you may, on the ongoing league. A reminder that the National County Sports Meet begins April 14, so you need to watch out for that. We'll talk more about that right here on Friday. But today, Watanga FC, for the second time in the club's history, have been declared champions of Liberian football after beating the defending champions,
Yeah, they are the
Liscard
defending
FC, by a goal to nil. So it means, like Chris said, they've done the double over Liscard. And beginning with Liscard, as defending champions, they are out of all competitions, meaning they will not be going continental this season.
Yeah, I think in the last 3 or 4 years, it's the first time Liscar will not be participating in CAF competition because they are out of the Orange Cup. That will be decided on the 13th of April when Invincible 11 takes on
Pinsville
PSV in the grand final. The winner go to the CAF Confederation Cup or the CAF Cup, we may say, and they are out of the league. So I think it was a good game.
What do we say? What winning emphatically? I mean, 5 goals, conceding none against Liscard FC in the 2 legs, home and away, that is, and then winning the championship with a clear almost 10 points margin. What do we say? Is it that Liscard is performing? I mean, Liscard's performance this season has been dismal, or Watanga is just too good for everyone this season?
I think Liscard performance this season has not been dismal. Going into the second phase, they had some dip in form, the start of the second phase, where they lost 3 games in a row. I can remember they lost to B Mountain, they lost to Global Pharma, and they lost to Pinsville FC. That caused them a serious headache. To recover these 9 points, very difficult, and that's where it all happened. Christopher Jackson, the big man, got injured. He's been struggling with injury, but I don't think Liscard performance was so bad during the season. They stay struggling, still fighting for the title and second on the league table, but I think Watanga injecting lots of young kids into the team play a pivotal role for them in winning this championship. 17 years old Emmanuel C.
That's who I was coming to. Emmanuel C. For a while, he wasn't on the team. I think he traveled or something, and then Watanga were bubbling, talking about getting the goals. Emmanuel C. returned, and of course, today he did the damage again to Liscard FC. I mean, what is it about this 17-year-old kid, Emmanuel C., who has hit the scene at the age of 17? He's pivotal, very, very pivotal in the championship for Watanga.
I think the contribution of Emmanuel C. into Liberian football, the local league in recent times, shows that we need to invest into grassroots football. The likes of other teams are trying to bring out young players. Emmanuel C. came from the Lee Moreau Football Academy. And the guys, Emmanuel C., Emmanuel Foley, Vasco Smo, Leo, I think some point whatsoever. There are few guys from the lower league or from the academy. You see the introduction into the National League. They are the one booming. The kid is in a world of his own. He went to the county meet, even in the high school, MVP in the county meet. People said it was the county meet. He's not playing against top players. He got into the National League. He's the top goal scorer at present, and he played a pivotal role for Watanga to win the trophy. I think he's just a kid that is in a world of his own, and hope Scout can get him out of here because with his age and how he's playing, the momentum he's into, I think he's unstoppable wherever he played now.
whatever it is, of course, he needs to be 18 years old before he can sign a professional contract and be taken out of here. But until then, maybe he still has a year for us to enjoy him. You know, we don't just take our young player away like that. Let's enjoy him a little bit. Maybe after 18, then he can go. I'm just kidding.
Probably at the end of this, before the end of this year, he will be turning 18. I don't know when he
Yeah.
was born, but he's 17 now, and he's doing a very brilliant job as a
You know-
kid with the junior national team, with his club, with the county meet. I think just in the world of his own, and that shows that the clubs, football around the world, young players are the ones who are there to play football. You see Pep Guardiola, he go for youth. You see the likes of Arsene Wenger. He always develop the youth. So
Real Madrid
Coach-
now has a lot of youth.
yeah, lots of youth into the team. You see Copasano. He was one coach I think I worked with my days at BYC. I never knew him to be a coach who loved young players. I think he has changed around, and he's a coach who knows how to win the league.
Yeah,
It's his
he has
fourth
won it.
title with a tier club.
Yeah,
He won the
fourth
league
title with the Tier Club.
He
Won it
won the
with
league for the first time with Barra Young Controller.
BYC.
Later on, he moved to FRC. He won a double, back to back, and now over FC. He knows when to get which point and how to end the season. And I think it's just how he has ended the season with Watanga and Andy Kwame. May be very happy tonight. And I'm hoping we could just have Andy on for a few minutes to tell her how he feels and how the team now, second time in the club history, they are champions of Liberian football.
Yeah, sure. Watanga are champions of Liberian football. And of course, there are 2 more games left to play, but already they've been declared champion. It's been confirmed on the Liberia Football Association official WhatsApp page that, of course, they are now champions of Liberian football. But at the bottom, the battle continues, and I'm sure it's going to be that way until the very last game. So today, it was a very interesting game at the Antoine Tottenham Stadium, where Invincible 11 IE were at home against FC Calon.
Rejuvenated
FC Calon, that's it. And of course, it ended 1 apiece, but it was a tested affair. Harrison, is that him? I think he got a red card for Invincible 11. Much of the second half, I played with 10 men, but of course, Calon could not capitalize. And following the game, of course, I was there when both coaches were spoken to. Kelvin Sobwe first. Well, he was like, they still have hope. They are going to play Quado away, and then CC United,
who are already
relegated. And also their opponents, Calon, I think they have CC as well, and probably the same Quado. So, and CC is already relegated. So we're trying to find the other.
The last team to join CC and what's the team name? MPA Angor in the relegation.
Okay. So one more team supposed to join them. Is it going to be IE or Calon? And that is why
even Nima Quado.
So those 3 teams, and that's why the game with IE and a game now featuring Quado, IE, and Calon is very important for all of the teams.
I think that speak volume for the National League. If you have teams going to the last game of the season, fighting for promotion, relegation, winning championship, keeping your place into the league is good. And Calon, I think with the investment done by former LFA Vice President for Operation Kase Kuo, I think he has paid off, or probably he came a bit late, And IE, I foreseen IE escaping the relegation because they are juvenated, they are motivated from getting to the final of the Orange Cup. After 13 years, they are into the final of the Orange Cup. First time going to the cup final in 13 years. The last time they did so was in 2011 when they defeated Barack Young Controller. And now Kevin Sibley has done a very tremendous job with Invincible 11, though he never played for them, but I think he's showing his professionalism. Though I play for Black Star, but as a coach, I do not have a team now. Black Star is no more in the league. He's doing a very
Black Star is no more existing.
yeah. So I think he's doing a very great job along with Oliver McCall. They are using their international experience they got while playing, and they are using it wisely with IE, with limited resources. To see them into the final, I must applaud Kevin Sibley and his technical staff. Calon FC, I think they will fight to the last day. And the LFA, I must say this, it's about time the LFA put their feet down on match facing. Few years back, we had this thing of one team scoring over 10 goals in a match or a player scoring over 5 goals when a player during the whole season did not have a trick. So the LFA at this moment, it's about time they put their feet down hard and follow all of the game referees that will be going to team games should be looked at very carefully and where we can have the best team going through because that brings competition to the league if there's no favoritism. And no one should say because Kaseko is back into the country and he wants to be LFA president, that his personal view. That should not affect the team. If the team is in the position to qualify and they should win, that should go on.
But the way you're saying it, as if there are plans to stifle Mr. Quo's team.
No.
Today, what I saw, it was IE.
I'm saying
it was IE that was complaining that
this is things people are saying around the stadium. We go to games.
No, I don't think we should be dwelling on rumors.
Are saying this, so it's a caution to the FA. We need to play according to the rule.
But I don't think we should be dwelling on rumors, Chris.
In time past, children, in time past, we went to games, players score goals that they couldn't score in 10 games. And we are here to come up with result of report from.
But I see you talking. I see you here talking about two things now. One player going to score 10 goals, and another time you're warning against a particular team being cheated and all of that.
My thing is a warning to everyone, the FA, the teams. So there was this unconfirmed news. Calon defeated Painsville FC. That players of Painsville FC for with. Up to now, there is nothing official. Hello, there is nothing official now. So I'm saying at this critical point into the league, the FA needs to monitor the league, monitor referees that are going to game, monitor clubs, so we don't come out at the end of the day and say this team was cheated because of this reason. I'm not saying because it is the statement that people going around that Kaseko want to be president and this will happen. So to avoid that, we go to games.
So what if Kaseko goes on to win? So what it says that Kaseko shouldn't lose, but if Kaseko loses,
I'm not saying
it means it's something against him.
He shouldn't lose. But if he goes to a game, his team go to a game, and the loss, that should be a clear defeat for them. But where you have
no referee should make mistake.
That's my thing.
And the referees are
like today game, it's my understanding the FA took more than 2 cameras to the game because it was important because of this same allegation or this same rumors going around.
Well,
so
for me,
at this point, as journalists, we need to start to scratch these things, raise these things so people know that the FA themselves should be aware. There are referees that go to games. I can say to you.
But I think we're creating unnecessary excitement.
No,
that's
it's
how
not
I think.
Unnecessary
all right,
excitement.
folks, this is Sports Talk right here. And of course, we're still trying to get Edwin Batafoyan on before we bring our guest. I don't know. He should be on by now. So as soon as Edwin comes on, maybe he will come in the middle. But as soon as we get one of our guests, Musa Shano and James Salin Sadiba are supposed to be our guests tonight on the program. Of course, we're going to be talking about football development in Liberia, the national team, where it is right now. Of course, how do we lift it? We are aware of the struggles that the national team is going through. A couple of years now, we've not been able to win. Of course, recently we went away against a team that we are higher than, even though we ourselves are very low in the rankings, and defeated Djibouti away 2-0, and drew with them here at the SKD 0-0. Of course, since 2019, we've not won a game at the SKD. That is a problem. So they will be here, maybe on their expertise. They will be telling us exactly how do we go about trying to fix what has got us stuck. What are the problems, the challenges, and how do we fix it, looking at the experiences that they've had. So we're taking this very short. Chris is here. My name is. We come back. Of course, we talk more on Sports Talk. Welcome back. This is Sports Talk right here. Well, it's a difficult night, Chris, from the back end, but we can assure you that, of course, we will continue. Our guests are delaying coming on, and so that's the main breaks. We're waiting. James Allen Sadiba, and of course, Musa Shannon has just assured us that he will be joining us in a jiffy. But that's how it is. And so, Post Talk is here to bring you out of the major happenings in our sporting sector, if you may, in Liberia. So, Chris, while we are here, we're just talking about football and how it is, but there are a lot of other, competitions or sporting activities in Liberia. I heard that the beach soccer people are gearing up. I mean, gearing up, if you may, for something spectacular. Maybe Chris, just take it up.
Yeah, so the beach soccer, I think it has been running for some time. Coach Clarence Lee's Cheer has been doing a great job with the beach soccer league, and they are about to kick off the tier league intersection, and they started to carry out some uh, workshop for coaches and whatsoever. I listened to him on one other radio station, and he said they are all set for this league that will take place, and that is good for Liberia. Not everyone will play the normal football. And I always say to people, government come, government go. Is one place we don't put emphasis, which is the sporting sector. It's a place of huge employment, a place that take off lots of the burden from on government shoulders. Because if we have uh, 10 players who are playing outside of Liberia, they earn $1 million a year. You see, they will invest into Liberia. They will employ people to build the houses. They will have businesses that people have to go and work for, or companies that extra employment that is not on the government. So beach soccer, the same. It's a sport that create employment for others. You go to boxing, you go to track and field. Probably Liberia is not making it. Every time we talk about football, we talk about football, we talk about football. We are not making it at football. What do we do when it comes to individual sports? We went to the All African Games. We made some gains there. Look at the Scrabble Association. Do we just sit and say we should, what do I say? If only a football, we have other sports.
I know
Let's try to go to these other sports. Pay some attention to them and see one sport can draw attention to a country. So, like you talk about the beach soccer, good. Probably we may not be successful in football like that, but beach soccer we could be successful. See what happened to the amputee national team. They're the most successful national team in Liberia. So I think it's good that the government look into the direction of the sporting sector. We need to invest, invest and invest and invest.
Definitely, we need to invest. There are other countries, of course, where they are not that good at a particular sport, but they find where their strength lies, and then they do a lot of things around there. South Africa, for example, yes, they have the big football stadiums, they have all the fields, they have the Mamelodi Sundown and all of that, but you look with their rugby, yes. Is it no cricket, right? Cricket, South Africa and cricket, they do play cricket well. India, Pakistan, those are great cricketing nations, if you may. That's their strength. Although you hear England versus one day international and all of that. So maybe our strength lies somewhere else, but we keep poaching. I'm not saying football. Football is generally
We
the
keep putting
biggest,
all our eggs in one basket.
sports in Liberia, the biggest, followed by probably basketball, and then we have kickball, and then others. But who knows?
What have they done for
The
us
glory,
internationally?
yeah, the glory can come from other places. We
You
just
have the
missed out.
fastest runners in Africa, female
Yeah, a
runner
female
from Liberia.
from Liberia. So let's see what
Joseph
what
Family
that
did
does.
a tremendous job at the Olympic. So, I
But
think
we now have one of our guests shortly going to be joining us in Musa Shana. And so as soon as he does, we'll be linking up with him. James Diba, we are still awaiting him. But we're going to be going straight into our discussion because of time here. Once our guest is brought on live. This is Sports Talk right here, Trojan and Chris, this Wednesday, the 3rd day of April. And we're here talking sports. Of course, to inform you, the under 17 and under 20 female teams,
okay.
yeah, they will be engaged in some international competitions very shortly. I think preparations are now being made for them. So we're going to be seeing our junior national teams, if you may, the under 17, under 20 female side in some of competitions. So
I think Musa Shana is on
Okay.
now. If he's on, let's
So-
see if our technicians can bring him on. And like Rochelle was saying, not because you have this tournament, then you just bring our girls into it. You need to prepare well.
but I think they've been basically training.
Since they came on 7 million, they had a training section.
I think we had Famata Dean, and of course
Simple
here
Judges Moldova.
on the okay. Our guest is on now. One of them, Musa Shana, he's on now. So let's just go straight to it and say good evening, Musa, and welcome.
Trojan, thank you for having me on the show today. Sorry for my lateness, but it's always a pleasure to be on with you guys.
It's better late than ever.
Well, there's no excuse for lateness.
No excuse.
How
Well,
about
he's
you?
also the former vice president for administration of Liberia Football Association, a former player of the senior national team of Liberia. Of course, that group that we can still look back to
The George Weah 11.
and be proud of. He's a member of that group, the George Weah 11. He's a legend. He played his club football mostly outside of Liberia.
Mhm.
I remember one of the teams in Maritimo, right?
Maritimo in Portugal.
In
Yes,
Portugal.
Maritimo. Unfortunately, they have been relegated to the 2nd division this year. But yes, we had a good time there for 2 years.
Wow.
He also the president of the Tech Ball
Tech
Association.
Ball Association.
New sports. How is Tech Ball?
Well, we're still fighting at the grassroots level, and we need all the assistance we can get. I want to use this platform to invite anybody who sees Tech Ball as a future sport in Liberia to join us in our endeavors to raise the profile and to raise the status of Tech Ball in Liberia.
That's another discussion for another day. But what is Tech Ball as a whole?
Yeah.
What is Tech Ball?
Well, Tech Ball is a game played on a board by 2 or 4 players. It's the fastest growing sport in the world. We endeavor to try to enter into the Olympics, the next Olympics in Los Angeles. It's a fantastic sport. It comes out of football because you use a football and you use your feet, no hands. It's similar to table tennis, but it requires a high level of technical ability, a lot of practice. But we've been hosting a lot of mini tournaments in Monrovia, and we're trying to generate a lot of interest in the sport. So it's still growing, but there's still a lot of room for us to grow.
Okay, so we shall bring you here exclusively to talk about tech one of these days. We hope to do that. But let's go into why you're here this evening. We're here to talk football. Generally, you're one of those. If we're talking about football and its history relative to the pitch, the administrative side, even I can say a bit of the technical side, you've been there and done all of that. So Where are we right now in Liberia with our football? Of course, a couple of years ago, you were at the FA as vice president for administration. That means you were running the day-to-day activities of the FA, if you may. But where are we today when it comes to Liberian football, comparing to how it used to be when people like you were very active?
Well, Trojan, I think it's a bit of an unfair comparison because it was a different time. So when people compare that time and that generation of players and the national team program to what we have today, it's a difficult thing to give a one-dimensional answer. I would say football is the foundation is being laid for Liberia to have great success in the future. I think we all know that all of us growing up, if you're from my age, and we played on fields that were subpar. Even the national stadium, the field was challenging at times. And it was a different time. I think today, with the infrastructure of the administration, which was some of our mandates that we were trying to build, but the Raji administration has moved forward with the construction of so many facilities for young people. I think it's a great time to be a young player. However, I think the challenge, Trojan, is that the infrastructure is improved, but the other aspects of the game are not following the accelerated growth of the infrastructure. So today we have some world-class facilities, including our national stadium, but there's not an equilibrium between the coaching, between the performance, between the level of players, between all the things that can make the game grow and have us excited about football in Liberia. So I think that's the challenge. It's like when you build a new hospital, you put in new equipment, but then you don't have enough trained, experienced doctors. And I think that's where Liberian football is today. It's like today you have a good competition. You have a lot of people wanting to play, but it seems to be like the level is not moving as fast as the infrastructure. So we need to now raise that level. And that level comes with better coaching, more training, more qualified coaches getting into coaching at grassroots level. I'd like to commend my former teammate, Kevin Sikwe, for the job that he's doing. And I'd like to encourage all former players who have a professional background to get into the coaching world. I mean, we know Thomas Kojo, Christopher Rare, Oliver McCall, and George Jipo. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm sorry if I forgot somebody. Sam Shipley are being involved in the game. So we need to encourage the next generation to get the proper credentials for coaching, get into the coaching and impact these young players at an early stage so we start to see the results that we need to see on the national level. Our club teams need to be more competitive, and we need to start producing a higher quality of player. And I think that's kind of where the Liberian public is hungry for success. But success is a process. And it's difficult for the FA when it's a political environment and everybody is making promises about things that they can do. But we have to go through this process of getting our football on the pitch and off the pitch at that professional level.
Okay, I see a bit of irony here. Here we are talking about, I know you say it's an unfair comparison, but in this age, we're talking about better pitches. We're talking about coaches who are earning international coaching certificates or licenses, if you may. We have our referees who are more now than ever before as FIFA badge. Many of them going through regular trainings. We have the sports medics as well, many of them being trained. So every sector, there is some basic training going on to improve the sector, from the coaches to the administrators to the sports medics and all of that. And the pitches as well, everything is improved. Comparing to the kind of field you people used to play it on, and we're talking about Borhefi, D12, Borhefi, all those places, gravel, bad pitches. It wasn't as good as they are right now. But yet, the football then, when we didn't have the many trained coaches, we didn't have these many trained administrators and what have you, people say the football back then was good. It was sweet. It was a delight to watch. You people had what it took for people to leave their houses to go and see. Nowadays, the people are saying, with all of what we have, the football is poor. I mean, they don't want to go and see it because there's almost no taste. So tell us, is it a lack of talent Is it that the talents are no longer there? What is the problem? How come when we didn't have these pitches, these lot of trained people in the game, the football was good? Liberia, at least, we were not winning the trophies, but we're competitive. How come now we have everything and there is no competition? Liberia is one of the least in Africa in the world.
Yeah, Trojan, you analyze it so eloquently. I mean, it's hard for me to give one answer, whether it's talent, whether it's lack of high level coaching. You know, we could be in a generation of we having a funk. We have a vacuum of talent, because you have to compare the last generations with this generation and say who is the best player today in Liberian football. Who is the elite talent in Liberian football, and where does that talent line up with the current talent in the region? So if we take the best player from Liberia, can he walk into an ASEC Mimosa in a Horoya? Can he go into a River State team? Can he go into any team in Africa and go straight into the starting lineup? Can he go into an Ashanti Kotoko and where he will not sit on the bench? And that's how we have to make the comparison. So we have to compare our best talent. Where do they line up against the best players in Africa? And today, it's you are absolutely right about the quality of the game. Like, I don't watch as many games anymore. I watch games here and there, and I follow the national team. And the level of talent for me is not at the level where we will be competitive. We have to now work towards that. But I will also counter that argument with our colleagues in the region, the other countries that are having a lot of success. They are not actually developing players in their local leagues. So it's like this two-sided argument that we're making. If you look at Senegal, you look at Ghana, you look at Nigeria, you look at Ivory Coast, where are those players coming from? Where are they getting their youth training? Where are they getting their development? Is it from the local leagues? When you look at a country like Equatorial Guinea, Cape Verde, countries that did very well in the African Nations Cup, where is all the players coming from? They are coming from the diaspora. Most of those players, more than 50% of them, are produced in foreign leagues at a youth level. So if we try to compete with our local base and players and say we're going to nurture players to the league system, into the national team, are they going to be competitive? And the answer is no. Our best player right now, whoever that may be, can he compete at the highest level of African football?
Yes.
I had the good fortune of going to the African Nation Cup final. Trojan, the African football now is at such a high level. The level could be even higher than the time that we played 20 years ago. The physical aspect, the technical aspect of the game is such at a high level. The players are much more equipped to perform at an immaculate level than we were ever equipped. So we're in a time now where we need to work. There will be no instant results. There will be no gratitude. There will be nobody giving us shortcut. We need to work. Gone are the days where we say, oh, the referee will give a penalty. Those days are over. You got to fight. You got to compete. And then you got to have a certain character about you when you play for the national team, when you play for your club team. There's a certain level of pride that you have to have as a Liberian player. And we need to restore that. We need to bring that back, and we need to try to compete. And let's forget about this nostalgia of the past. Right now, we are in 2024. Who is our best player? How do we get better?
Musa, you talk
Yes,
about players from Liberia. If they are good, can they go to other countries and be a starter? Let's look at our teams participating in CAF competition. They are not doing well, and they are dominant players from Liberia. Other countries, just right next door, our neighbor from Sierra Leone, Bo Rangers came here and they qualified over us. Nigeria, Rivers United came here and they qualified over us. They took two of our players. So if we are counting the issue of players, success, or talent, not only the national team, but our local teams, why? i.e., the likes of Barrow, the likes of LPRC, others in time past, they were making headways in African football, but now our clubs, since BYC left the shows, we don't see them going beyond the first round of African competition. Is it still that we need to bring players from outside to compete?
Well, you know, everybody, you guys are analyzing everything correctly. We can all see the result on the pitch. The question is, what is the problem and what is the solution? For me, we have to continue to work. I mean, there are top teams in Liberia that are training only 3 times a week. It's not enough. Then they will say, oh, well, it's because of lack of money. Well, I don't want to talk about lack of money because everybody financial resources are different. But if you are a top team in the first division in Liberia and you practice only 3 times a week, I don't care how talented the players are, it's not enough. There's not enough time for physical level of fitness. There's not enough time for tactical acquiescence. There's not enough time to develop a culture within the group. So we need to look at that. The only thing me and you have a difference on here is the comparison of this generation to the generation of the past. I think it was a different time.
Of the past and this generation, what do you say if you had to grade on the scales of 1 to 10?
My friend, I had the good fortune of playing with some of Liberia's greatest talent. So for me, I saw Liberia's best from the likes of the great George Weah, the great James Diba, Kevin Oliver, Bob Charles, Joe Nangbe. I mean, those guys were some of the best players Liberians have produced. But when they left from Liberia in the late 80s, early 90s, they were the best. They were the best. You made a good comparison now about the team from Nigeria who took 2 Liberian players. Those players are not finished with their education in football. They are still in the process. They now go to Nigeria. That leaves the club system with a vacuum. How do you replace that talent if you don't have a strong enough educational system at the grassroots level of these clubs, having second string teams, having a good recruiting, have a good coaching system? We're going to continue to be replacing players. And when you're replacing players, eventually you have a vacuum of talent. And I think once Liberian players do well, their first instinct is to go out and make money. But most of those players are not ready. We have very few Liberian players that can leave for our league and arrive in a top level right away. George Weah left here, went straight into the starting lineup of Tonia Yaoundé and performed. James Diba went to Union Douala, straight into the starting lineup from Barrow. How many Liberian players can leave from this league now and go straight into the starting lineup of a top club? Most of them have to go through 2, 3, 4 years of a process. Now, Samson Dwyer has done very well. We have to commend him. Oscar Dolly took about 3 years before he arrived in a big club. Samson, I think he left from here maybe 1 year, 2 years ago, and now he's already performing in the Europa League. So you still have hope. But the question is, what is the collective effort of Liberian football? Not just the federation, but the clubs. All these clubs, their training systems, their coaches, the quality of their coaches, the quality of the way that they structure the football, how they recruit players. We have to seriously start looking at all of those things because we have a talent vacuum, my brother. Most players now, they play one.
Shano, you talk about talent vacuum. You serve as vice president for administration at the Liberia Football Association. With all of what you have said, I must say you are hitting the point, but did you see this coming when you served as vice president? Yes. What was the measure you put into place or program that we will not go this route in the next 10 years? You have been out of Liberian football administration for the past 8 years.
Well, again, we tried as an administration to make the league more competitive. We tried to reduce the amount of teams. At that time, it was, I think, the Premier League. We tried to reduce the teams so you're not diluting the talent pool. And we tried to support these teams in international competition. Like you were talking about the likes of BYC, LPRC, a lot of national team players that at that time, the likes of Isaac Popo and that generation, some of them played in the local league, and to make it more competitive. So those guys are talented guys. They went out, they did their best, and they came back. But one of the problems that the league have, and I was fighting for, I was not successful in my time, was to reduce the amount of players that leave Liberia before the age of 20 years old. I think if the player transferring out of Liberia at 18, 19 years old, he's not ready. And also to reduce the influence of Asian football, especially Indonesia and Malaysia. For me, personally speaking, I think Asian football is a graveyard. I think, yes, the player needs to make money. He wants to support his family, but there's no way you're going to become a better player if you spend 3, 4, 5 years playing in Asia. You will make some money, but in the end, your career will die off and your level will not improve. So our relationship with transferring players to Asian football, I think we need to assess it as a technical committee where I serve as a member and put in some criteria where players are not leaving from Liberia before they are ready to go so they can have a longer and more successful career. I was not successful in achieving that as vice president of administration, but this is the conversation that we have. But you also have to know that the executive committee is a political body. It's not a technical body. So if you are having technical conversation at a political level, it's going to fall on deaf ears. I think the technical committee probably needs to have multiple subcommittees, one of them being the national team committee, where people who have the technical expertise and the background at that level should sit in a separate committee inside the technical committee. And then you have another committee for the league, because I'm not the best person to speak on the league per se, because I didn't play in the league and I've not coached in the league. However, we're getting the best players of the league at the national team level, where some of them were not ready and they had to be in an environment where they are nurtured and prepared for these type of levels of competition. So it goes back to my original point of this is a process. It's not about the individual player. It's about the system of how the player comes into the national team program and how he leaves. This administration has given the opportunity for the national team to play so many international matches and give them exposure. And I think it's a good thing. Now we need to translate some of those opportunities to the club level and make the league as competitive as possible, whether it's reducing the amount of teams or the transfer rules need to be adjusted so you keep some of your best young players a little bit longer so that when they go out, they can be of a higher value. But these are conversations all of us need to have, like the journalists, the coaching staff, the technical committee, because we all, let's not forget, we're all working towards one goal. My ambition and my desire for Liberian football is not different than yours. We all want to be successful. We want the players to be successful and go on to have good careers and a life after football. But it seems like we have 1,000 people on 1,000 different islands fighting for different things. And, you know, that's a conversation we all need to have.
Okay. Now, let's look at we'll come to the national team, but I want you to talk about hunger, you know, because as a player, I'm sure you set for yourself a goal. And once you've not gotten there, you've not achieved that goal, it's hungry. The system may not be set up in a way to help you, but as an individual player, is it possible that you surround yourself with that air of hunger, knowing that I want to see myself in 5, 6, 7 years at this particular stage? I want to be playing, for example, in Senegal or Nigeria or Morocco or Egypt. And then subsequently, I want to see myself playing for this team. A lot of times you ask a player, for example, like the 16, now 17-year-old kid who signed for Real Madrid, Endrick, and they will tell you, it has always been my dream. It is a dream come true. Do our players have dreams? Do you think players of today, do they have dreams? You talk about Asia. Did it kill our players because bulk of them were trooping to Asia, except now it has cooled down a bit? But did it in any way affect our game? Our players, do they really have that hunger? Do they set for themselves priorities? Do you see it?
So there's two questions you asked me in there. One is about the Asian exodus and the personal drive of a player. It's hard to measure what somebody has inside of their heart. For me, I'm an ambitious guy. I was an ambitious player. I always wanted to maximize my talent. So I was already driven. And then it was easier for me to stay motivated when you are surrounded by players of such high quality. When you are in a dressing room with the likes of Prince Day or the late Frank Seaton, it was so competitive that all of us were fighting and killing each other to arrive in the starting 11, to play with and alongside the likes of the great George Weah, the great James Diba, players that I watched playing in the 80s. So for me, the trajectory was very clear to me that I want to be like them and I want to emulate them. Unfortunately, this generation, if you are a young player which Liberian player will you be looking at and say, I want to be like him? It's a difficult question to answer if you are a new player coming in the national team and you are surrounded by players who have not achieved greatness or achieve anything. So our time was a little bit different for us. For the Asia Exodus, my last contract was in China. And when I played in China at 28, 29 years old, I knew that I was not going back to Europe because the level of the football was not up to the standard of the European level. When I went to Portugal, I knew that I had to go to sleep early. I had to eat right. I had to make sure that I wasn't involving extracurricular activities that would diminish my energy for training. We would train sometimes 6-7 times a week, 2 times a day before matches. So you are completely immersed in a professional environment. I think when you go to Asia, the level is different. Nobody can struggle. You two are journalists. You are very good journalists. You are very well-researched journalists. Who is the best Liberian player to play in Asia and come and have success in the national team program? That success in Asia translated to success at the national team level. I cannot think of one. You think about Grandpa. Grandpa was a great talent. He was a great talent. But besides Grandpa, I can't think about too many players that went to Asia, came back, and brought us any level of consistent success. I think we always built our team around the likes of Lanford, who was amazing in South Africa, which is a good league. And I think that's a league that Liberian players need to look at more. Or most of the other players were coming from Europe. So the question of Asia, not that it's not a man should not pursue his daily bread, is when do you go to Asia? Do you go at 21 years old or do you go at 26 or 27 years old, where you have accomplished your development and your education as a player, you are an experienced professional, and then you go to Asia? I frown on it, but I don't have the power. It's a free market that young Liberian players will leave a club in Liberia or Watanga, LPRC, any of these clubs that are Freeport, and leave Liberia League and go straight to Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan. I don't even know all the countries the player are going to now, but I don't see how you become better by going there at an early age when you're still in your educational phase. Now, the players that are signing in Sweden. Yes, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. Yeah.
The players that are signing in Sweden, I think it's a good thing. I think any player that leaves from here, go to any European club, in 2-3 years, you can see the development of the player. Now, whether that success translates to the national team, I don't know. It depends on the player's desire, where he fits in. And I think Coach Mario will do a good job because I like some of the things that he's been saying since being with the national team. We have to challenge the players. We have to challenge ourselves to be better.
Okay. That's the point I want to hold you on, because we're right here. Chris is here. I'm here in Liberia. You are here. We are familiar with some of these players. We live in communities with some of them. You talked about a team training maybe 2 or 3 times a week, which is not enough. Here you are telling us you used to train like 7-8 times in a week before a game and all of that. Now, how frequently do we see our players, doing self-training, going to the gym by themselves, jogging, going to the beach, just outside of their team? If the team is not training, then you will know that this particular player, maybe he wants something extra for himself. How often do we see it? Chris is here. He's my witness. How often do we see players do that kind of thing? James Diba, I hope we have had him on. As aging is, I see that man jogging regularly. All right?
My center here had a trainer help.
Yeah, look at you. And I hardly see the active players except where they go spend few hours, 1 or 2 hours with their teams and wait for the next training day. That's it. How frequent? And that's why I'm speaking to the hunger. How hungry do we think our players are?
Well, it appears from a distance that there's some ambition and drive that could be lacking. But until I'm with the group every day and I understand all the dynamics, whether there's a problem with the money for training or whatever the story may be. But like you rightfully said, it's your dream as a player. It's a short career and you want to maximize it. So there's nobody should be telling you you need to do extra. Nobody should be telling you that. If the club does not provide that environment for you, if you have your own ambition, should want to do that. However, if it's not happening, children, then that's part of the fundamental issue that we are facing in Liberian football. And we need to get to the root cause of some of these things. Why is it happening? What's the reason for that? It's difficult for me to see.
Let's go to national team and talk a little bit about our national team. Of course, it seems like a lot of people are believing that the best days are behind us. It's sad to say that. I'm one person who loves my national team more than any other thing, but it seems that's what people are saying. The best days are behind us. I mean, we can't seem to just get success. Here we are. We've changed coaches a lot of time. People say, bring in foreign coaches. We're bringing in foreign coaches. And then later on, no, let's use the local coaches. And then we use the local coaches. Still no result. Now we have 2 foreign coaches, one for the males, another one for the females. Is solution? What is the problem with our national team? Why is it that, I mean, we just keep faltering and faltering and faltering?
Troja, if I knew the exact answer, I would have told the president of the federation. I think we need to be focused on the reality that we're not as good as we think we are. And we need to get back to ground zero, and we need to do the dirty work that you need to do in football, which is working hard, staying focused, keeping your mouth shut, and not focusing only on money and what you can get from the national team program as a player. This is a nation. We are a nation of 6 million people now, and we are a football country, and we'll always be a football country despite the results. So the FA needs to also be like a little bit strong-handed in their approach towards the national team program, that we got a program for 4 years. We're going to stick to this program. We're going to stick to this coach, and we're going to make sure that we support this coach and his vision for the national team program. And we hope that in that process, he leaves us better at the time that he leaves. I think we were premature in firing Mr. Butler. I think Coach Butler was on the right track. And I think we were premature for whatever the reason were. I don't know. I think the firing of Keita, it has its pros and it has its cons. And I think now we are at Coach Mario, and I think that we need to let Coach Mario execute his plan as he sees fit, because he's a professional coach. I've had an interaction with him in meetings, and I was impressed with his vision, how he sees football, and what he wants to achieve. You see, Liberia's job is a suicide mission for any international coach. If you do not do well in Liberia's job, it's going to be difficult. It's difficult to put it on your CV and go and attract another high-level job. So anybody taking Liberia's job, they are also in a place where they want to succeed. We all want to succeed, but it's also a process. He needs time to develop the player. He needs time to make some mistakes, and he needs time to build his culture around a team that can bring results for us. Fortunately, we qualified to go into the group stage. It's going to be competitive for us, but we have to look at it like a learning process and an opportunity to grow and to continue to get talent. The second phase of this is what I mentioned a few minutes ago. African football, many of the top countries are taking shortcuts to win. Ivory Coast, they are the champion of Africa. How many players in Ivory Coast national team were born in Ivory Coast? How many of them were developed in Ivory Coast? We have to sincerely look at what our diaspora has to offer in the United States, in Europe, and what type of individual will suit our program to help to develop our program and raise the quality of the player and the standard of football. It's not everybody who is Liberian want to play for Liberia. So go back to your point. Who wants to play for Liberia, not who has to play for Liberia. And this time it's a process. And I hope the coach will take time to recruit players from the diaspora who are right, and also focus on the National League and bring together the right mix of players so that we can start to get competitive and hopefully start to win games consistently.
Shana, you talk about Butler, you talk about Ansumana Keita and Mario. According to you, you spoke with Mario. He seems to be a professional coach from the work he has done. There are many who say Mario team did not play the kind of football Liberians expected. You said it was premature to get rid of James Peter Butler. What right you think Butler was doing that we haven't seen Butler left?
Sorry, I didn't get the last part of your question. I didn't get the last part of your question.
You said it was premature to get rid of Butler. So what are those right things Butler was doing that we are not doing now, or you think could have taken Liberian football to another level by this time if we had kept him around the national team that we decided to let him go?
So on the issue of Butler, I thought that he was very detailed. I thought he took his time to really, he lived in Liberia. I think he was one of the first Liberian coaches to permanently live in Liberia, and gave him an opportunity to watch as many matches at the league level as well as the grassroots level. And I thought he was creating a culture within the group that players were respecting. I don't think if you ask any player who played for Butler, they were happy when he left Liberia. I think that most of the players felt like they were improving as players, and their understanding of what it takes to play at the international level was being sharpened by their relationship and working with Butler, who was a professional coach. But on top of that, he had a lot of experience in Africa. I think Keita had potential, but clearly it was early for him, because also he had no experience at international level, at that level. And I think it showed in the end. I think with Mario, we have to be patient. Mario is a professional coach. He understands the demands of the professional game at international level. He coaches in different places at different levels. So I think now that we're working with Mario, we have to be patient and allow his vision and his ideology for the game to develop. I know Liberians were on their feet. They wanted to see tiki-taka. They wanted to see the likes of players taking the ball, eliminating players, and entertaining us. But my brother, we're not that good anymore. We don't have that type of talent. So we need to put teams in a dogfight. We need to defend. We need to work together as a group, and we need to play more of a collective brand of football. Gone are the days of skillful players like Sekou Jabate, Dior Williams, Anthony Lamford. We don't have those kind of players right now. So you need to identify the players that you have and develop a system around them that can make them competitive. And I didn't think the game was very entertaining against Djibouti, but we got a result. For the first time, Liberia didn't play good, and we get a result. For me, I want a result. I don't care if the gear is beautiful. We need to be competitive. We need to learn how to win. We also have a very young team, and we have a new coach. So we're in a very early marriage here. And sometime in the beginning of marriage, those of you who have been married, I was not successful at marriage, but you need time.
Children,
and you know the challenges of a marriage.
But
when you meet the great people,
you're talking about this national team and past national team. Where do you stand with the issue of more local, less professional, or more professional, less local? You talk about players who are ready to play for the national team. Where do you stand? Do Mario stick to more local, less professional, or we need more of that, the professionals?
I think we want the best players. We want the best players. I think we go back to our generation. I'll make a quick comparison. The Liberian national team of the so-called George Weah 11, because many people are saying, well, we call it George Weah 11, but it's George Weah 11. We had a plethora of strikers. A lot of players were playing out of position, including myself. I started to play more on the right side. Joe Nang was playing central defender. Zidura was central defender. George Jibo was a left back. So a lot of players played out of position. Imagine if you had a group where everybody was playing in their natural position. You could have had a better team. So I think the issue of local and foreign base should be based on the player's ability to perform at a high level. Who is the best left back that is Liberian, that is willing to play for Liberia? That's the player that needs to be picked. If that player is picked and he is the best left back or right back or center back or goalkeeper, that's the player that should play. So for me, I'm not on the side of local player, I'm on the side of foreign player. I'm on the side of who is the best player. Right now, Oscar Dole for me is our most consistent player. He's probably our best player because every match Oscar plays, he's consistent. But Oscar needs to play in his most natural position. So if you bring, and also Mo Sangare, I thought Mo Sangare is a player for the future. You can see the quality of Mo is a little bit different. We need to pick the best players for the best positions and not just foreign players. If the best center back is from Liberia, we pick him. If he's from Freeport, he's from LPRC, he's from Leska or Watanga, we pick him. We don't bring a player because he play in Slovakia or he play in Indonesia because he's a foreign player and he got some people around here running around saying he's a great player and he doesn't fit into the program of the coach that we select him. We have to pick the best players, and then you want to create a lot of competition inside the squad. You don't want any player thinking that I would just ride a plane car, I will get in a jersey, play and go back. It doesn't matter how I perform, they will still call me. No, you have to create fierce competition. You don't perform, you will not get selected. And that's the nature of the beast. That's how football works. So I think Mario is saying the things that coaches have said to me throughout my career. You have to fight, you have to compete. You have to be better. And we know that. You know that. I know that the performance we saw is not the performance we like. So we're hoping that the next performance will reflect a team that understands that this is it's an opportunity. It's an honor for you to wear the Liberian national team jersey. This is not your birthright. National team is not your birthright. You have to perform for the Liberian people.
It's a privilege. So let me ask you this question. We will soon be in time. Mario Marineka has been given a task to make sure we get to Morocco 2025. Is that fair enough? Because we're looking at the expectations of Liberians, and what you're saying, it seems we're not there yet. We need to be patient. We're about to get into the group stage. Should we not qualify from that group stage, but look at the progress that we've made? Which one do you think? We qualify or we don't qualify, and look at how much we make and keep Mario or get rid of him because we didn't qualify? What do you think around that? So,
Trojan, which team in the African Nation Cup do you think that we were better than? This gone African Nation Cup, when you watch all those games,
absolutely none.
Okay, so that's what we're starting from. You look, we watch all those games from Tanzania to Malawi and all those teams, right? If you believe that we are not better than those teams, then our ambition should be to qualify. But if we get into a tough group and we are competitive and we can see that, man, those teams are a little bit better, but we have closed the gap from Ivory Coast, I think that that's progress. I don't think Mario will be a failure if he doesn't qualify, but we have forward progress, and that's what we want. If you discover a new attacking midfielder, you discover a new goalkeeper, you discover a new right back or right wing in this process, and we see that those guys are young, they're in their mid-20s, and they are players for the future, like Sangari is 20 or 21, Oscar is still 25. So we do have a team for the future that we're building. Samson maybe 2019, around there. The spine of your team, because that's the most critical thing in football, is the spine. That means your goalkeeper, your center back, your center midfield, and your striker. If they are performing at a level that you think is adequate, and they are young, and we are competitive in the next group stage, let's say we qualify or we don't qualify by 1 point, 2 points, my friend, I think that we need to stay the course. We need to add more talent. We need to make more competition in the group, but we need to not say, oh, Mario didn't qualify, so we're going to get rid of Mario and bring Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho will be having the same problem. So at the end of the day, oh, let's bring this other person, let's bring that person. I'm not of that nature. We need to be patient. We don't have the budget of some of these other countries. We have a coach who's a professional coach. I think we need to work with him or whoever is there. It's not just Mario. I'm not a player that like to fire coaches like that all the time, because I think national team is such a dynamic process. It's not a club team where you with the player every day. You get the group together for short periods of time and you try to put together a philosophy. But if Mario is working with a group of core 10 players and he sees progress, I think we stay with them and we try to augment that group with new talent from outside that can make the difference.
The backbone of the senior national team is the youth teams. Looking at the under 15, under 17, under 20, do you think we are doing well in those sectors, the youth teams, the under 15, under 17, under 20, or do we need to do more, place more emphasis there?
Of course, if you have the resources, adequate resources, I think you have to have a youth team that's active. I think the CHAN would be a good opportunity for us to put our local players in international competition. And I think that no country can survive without a youth program. But then when you look at the We Are 11, there was no youth program. Historically in Liberia, you haven't really had a youth program. So when you arrive in the national team, you were already a seasoned player, or you were a player of people respected from the league, or you came from outside on the recommendation of one of the bigger players. And that's how I came to the national team. Was Liberian people didn't know me, but I spent a lot of time with national team players in Ivory Coast, playing games in the off season, and playing also in the United States with other professional players when they would have their international break. And then when I turned professional, people started to see me have some success. That was how we recruited. But now the game has changed. So the youth program, as you rightfully said, it's a great opportunity for us to vet players. Friendly matches is a great opportunity for us to, the youth national team is a great place for us to develop players of potential who are under 20, and you could bring them into the senior team if they show pedigree. But international friendly matches are a great opportunity to vet players that you think can fit into your philosophy and your group. So we just need to trust the process. I'm not saying you should be patient. I think if Mario is a catastrophic selection of a coach and it doesn't work out, we need to look at another option. But I think that he will be successful because just the rigors of the training, the mentality and the culture which he brings from Eastern Europe, I think it will fit perfectly into the Liberian mentality for the group that we have. Right now, you need a disciplinarian, you need a coach that's technically and tactically savvy with modern day football and the demands of modern day football, and that have one philosophy for the next 2-3 years.
Chris,
Shannon,
before we close up.
Shannon, you
Yes, sir.
serve as vice president of the Liberia Football Association. You opted to be the president. Looking back where you left the FA and now, what can you say?
Well, I can say this, the Raji administration, they have done well, to be honest. I think that the infrastructure plan has worked well. They have a new headquarters. They have multiple new facilities. They have competed in all of their matches. They have played a lot of friendly matches. I think where they are struggling to gain ground is they're not getting the results. And football is about result in the end. The president has to answer to that, but he's not also playing the football. So his job and the job of any federation is to create the environment that people can have success, to create the competitions, to continue to try to put Liberia in a position where you can develop talent and talent can reach their full potential at the coaching level, at the referee level, at the club level. Now, there are a lot of other political dynamics that I care not to get into, but I'm not one to, because we have the same objectives. And people who say they can do better, there's no record of them doing better anyway. So at the end of the day, I think what we have now is we have to support it. And that's why I take the position always to give my time to Liberian football on any level. Whether I lost the election, I didn't win the election, it's not about me. Football has been good to me. I have no regret of losing the election or serving my country at Liberian football. I think that's the mission. That's the mentality we have to have, that it's not about us. It's about me giving my best with whatever knowledge, experience I have. I'm not a messiah. I don't have all the solutions, but we try our best with our connections, our relationship, our experience to try to put our country on the map. You see, we get bombarded by international colleagues and international friends. Why Liberia is not the Nation Cup? I go to the final, I run into different people that I know. My man, when Liberia will play here, friends calling me from around the world, do you have any good players that we can transfer? And it's always like, I'm dodging all these questions. So we all want the same thing. And for me, as a former vice president, my job will be to continue to be a role model and support the federation the best I can in whatever position I have the opportunity to, and to try to put Liberia on the map again.
Okay, so you just brought my attention to something. There is this issue, and I always say our players who played before, the likes of Musa Shannon, George Weah, George Jipo, James Diba, Kevin Sigwe, you guys play for big clubs in Europe. The likes of JJ Okocha, through his recommendation, Alex Iwobi is playing at Arsenal now, at Fulham. The relationship between our legends and the clubs they play for, we don't see that coming down to our country, where we have players playing for Maritimo. Theo Weeks play for Maritimo, but clubs our legends play for, we don't see them having that relationship with the clubs where at any time they can say, I'm sending Christopher Walker, he's a good attacker to this team that I play for. Why do you think so?
Well, times have changed. Probably the relationships or the connections they had at those clubs have moved on, and maybe you no longer have a direct link with a sporting director or a coach or a former teammate. That could be one reason. And the other reason is the players, maybe they don't care. I mean, not every player who played will continue in football. You know, a lot of guys go to coaching. I chose the route of administration. I felt that's where I would have the best impact. And I wanted to be the president. I felt like with my experience of 8 years working in the federation, I had more to offer. It didn't work out that way, but I'm sitting with you today. I'm still I was asked by the president to be on the technical committee. I agreed to that, to give my 1 or 2 cents. I'm on the committee with Lamfor and with other players. So we all trying our best to make the best contribution we had. But the recommendation of players and the representing of players is a different type of business. Some people may not be the best at it, or they may not see it as an option for them. But, I have had an impact with recommending players and helping players find contracts in the past. I mean, one of my players is still in the national team, Marcus McCauley, who, we were instrumental in helping him get to Jordan. And then from Jordan, he went on to Saudi and other places and had some success. I will always do my best to help the best players. If they reach out to me, I give you my advice. If I have relationships, I try to extend those relationships. I serve on the board also of Need Monrovia Football Academy. And a lot of those young players are going to schools in the U.S., they're going to different opportunities, so maybe we will see them in the future. But they are taking another route, which is the education and football route. So we all put our hand in. Football is like a mafia, Chris. Even when you think you out of football, you never get out of football. Somebody will call you, somebody will recommend you. Even if I say, oh, I don't want to be in football, they will drag you back to football. Football is our home. In football, I always say we make friends and we make friends for life. And I'm so grateful that you guys recognize me in that way, that you think that I have a contribution to say on your show, because it's important that young people hear my voice and hear what I have to say. There are no shortcuts in football. If you think you're going to cheat football and win, it can't work. You have to dedicate your mind, your body, and your soul to the game and hope that it brings you the fruits of your labor. But the recommending of players will continue. I mean, there was a guy here that worked with the national team, Fabian. He was the fitness coach. He's a German coach. Fabian works for Eintracht Frankfurt. When I travel to Frankfurt, I visit with him. He's on the female side of the Frankfurt program, and they have one of the best female teams in Europe. He's always asking me about Liberian female players. But when they do the research, because they have their way of checking the competitions, the players are not on that level yet, but there's an interest. We tried to help Tia Dennis at one time to go to Germany. So these relationships, they still exist, at least for me, but it's about finding the right player and the right club to work with to push these players through. And we will continue to do our best for Liberian football, Chris, because we want to see Liberia. Listen, I was happy to be at the final, but I was sad because I realized at that final how far we are from the top of African football.
And how can you reflect on that goal against Ghana?
Listen, that goal, some players score 5 goals for Liberia, some players score 6 goals. I scored 1 goal for Liberia. I missed a lot of goals for Liberia too. But the 1 goal I scored for Liberia, it made me famous. People still talk about that goal today. So we know players who score against Djibouti after 5 years, would I remember them? So, but that 1 goal against Ghana, it was my lucky ticket to be the vice president of the LFA. So I'm grateful to James Diba for deciding to lay that ball across to me to score. And I wish.
Unfortunately, James Diba didn't come. But time has caught up with us. Of course, one thing I want you to do is just speak to in your final comments, players, because we're seeing a bit of development in all of the other aspects, but the playing side, the players and all of that. So I just wanted to speak to them as a legend in Liberian football. Just speak to them from their heart. And of course, maybe they will listen to you and then we'll start to see a new kind of attitude on the pitch.
Football is the beautiful game, like the great Pelé said. And football can bring you so many joys in life. But as I stated, You cannot cheat football, Trojan, Chris. You have to give your soul, your body, your soul, and your mind to the game. It's a beautiful game. It gives you everything that you deserve. If you feel that, oh, I'm not at Real Madrid, it's because you're not a Real Madrid player. But it doesn't mean you cannot be a great player or a good player. So if you're a young player out there, trust me, this is the best opportunity for you. You have organized leagues. You have youth national team programs. You have, in both male and female. Let's emphasize the females. We must commend the females as well. During our time, we tried, but this administration is doing well with the females. If you're a young player out there and you want to make football your career, treat it like it is. Everything that you do every day should be towards your end goal of being a successful footballer. And hopefully you become a professional. But after your playing career, football continues inside you. You can still make a contribution to football. You be a coach, you be a trainer, you be a referee, you be whatever it is that you want to be. You can be a member of a team. So I love this game. I think the game is a beautiful game. I will never desert this game, and I will continue to make my contribution any way that the federation or anybody in football asks me to. I will always try to give something back to the game because this game has given me so much.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Shana, for taking up your time and, of course, being here with us. It was very rewarding. I'm sure our viewers really learned a lot today from you.
It's a pleasure to always be with you guys, and the journalists must be commended. I know you guys get a lot of insults and a lot of personal attacks, but keep doing your job because it's important that we speak about these things in a transparent and honest way. And I commend you guys for this platform that you have me on today.
Thanks a lot. That's Musa Shana. Of course, he's been our only guest. Unfortunately, we should have had James Salinsa Diba, who maybe some reasons that we will know later did not show up. Chris Walker, this I would like to leave.
I think it was rewarding. It was rewarding, even in the absence of the nation's most celebrated soccer star. It was rewarding, and we have learned. And people in Liberia, I think, the followers of football will be happy to hear Musa. As time goes by, we hope to bring other former national team players. We have an agreement of negotiation with Louis Creighton, the likes of John Moses, Murphy Nangwe. We hope to bring these players to share their own experience. And I think it was a great day today with the legend, Musa Shana. Like he said, one goal he scored for Liberia and making him so popular. And that's it. You should be proud of something you do for your country.
That's Chris Walker. I want to say Christopher Walker. I would like to go home. Friday is going to be an historical period right here on this show. You don't want to miss it. Of course, as the man popularly known as Spider will be here on Friday sharing this platform with us, and he's going to be giving us a whole lot of history that you need to know about sports in general in Liberia, football in particular. So don't miss the Friday's edition. Next week, of course, on our lineup will be the two coaches of the senior national teams. That is a male and female, Coach Mario Marinica and Coach Kidibi. They will be here sometime next week, along with hopefully the technical director of Liberian football, Doko Wise, and we're going to be discussing more football here. My name is Trojan. My teammate has been Chris. Chris and Ben will be here on Friday. Until then, let's have ourselves a wonderful good evening. And you've been watching Sports Talk on Intel Sports. Good night.